You gotta catch it first.
Oh, you good?
So, good? Okay. First Mishnah begins in Shas. Masechet me'ematai korin et Shema ba'arvin. When do we say Kriyat Shema in the afternoon? No, there's an obligation to say Kriyat Shema morning and night. And the Mishnah begins with a question. When do we say Kriyat Shema of the afternoon? What time does that obligation begin? Mishnah answers, Misha'a shehakohanim nechnasim le'echol betzirumatan. The start time to say Kriyat Shema at night is the same time that the Kohanim are allowed to eat tirumah. Unusual answer. Or the Gemara's answer is that, a little background, when a Kohen becomes tameh, he's not allowed to eat tirumah. What he has to do is he has to go in the mikveh, he has to dip in the mikveh that day, and he has to wait until the stars come out that night. Seta kochavim, we call it. Stars coming out, that term's going to keep coming up. Seta kochavim, when the stars come out, which is after sunset, then he's allowed to begin eating tirumah. So the Mishnah said, when are you allowed to say Kriyat Shema at night? You know when you're allowed to say Kriyat Shema at night? The same time that the Kohanim are allowed to eat tirumah. If they're tameh, they dip in the mikveh, they wait until Seta kochavim, then they're allowed to eat tirumah. That's the same time that we begin to say Kriyat Shema at night. The Gemara is going to ask why the code language. But the question of the Gemara is, when do I say Kriyat Shema of nighttime? Answer the same time that the Kohanim begin eating tirumah, aka Seta kochavim, and the stars come out.
Rabbi, I could have just said time or something.
Right. Right. Should have said Seta kochavim. Gemara has said on the bottom of the page, just say Seta kochavim. On point. Good.
Yes,
Where'd that come from? Okay, so that's the start time for Kriyat Shema of Arvit. Where's the end time? Ad sof ha'ashmura harishona. The end time to say Kriyat Shema of night is at the end of the first watch, the first job of the Malachim.
So it's clear that the halacha from the start of the Shema, it's at the Kochavim. Now we're trying to understand when the latest time you could say it.
Correct. When's the window? Right. The Mishnah starts off. We're going to see in the Gemara a whole bunch of beginning of the start time is, but saying the start time is, we'll call it Seta Kochavim. End time, the Mishnah says the end of the first watch. What is that? Another code. Apparently, there's Malachim and Shamayim that sing praises to God, and there's three groups of Malachim singing the praises, broken up into three different slots. So if the night is 12 hours, you have from, let's say, a perfect night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It'll be 6 to 10 is the first group, 10 to 2, second group, and 2 to 6, the third group. So when's the end time to say Kriyat Shema of night? When's the last time to say Kriyat Shema? At the end of the first watch. Or we could say 4 hours into the night. Or we could say 10 p.m., 6 to 10. Okay, take the 12 hours, divide it into 3. Again, the Gemara is also going to ask why we're using code language to tell us the time. Just tell me, my start time is Seta Kochavim, my end time is 10 p.m., 4 hours into the night.
Rabbi, where the Leviim broken up into groups, and there was a first Ashmira, second Ashmira.
Oh, you're talking about the Kohanim. Yeah, that's not this same word, but 24 Mishmar. This is talking about the angels in Shammai. That's talking about they used to have a rotation every other week. Right. Okay.
But they also had a Leviim who were watching during the time of the Beit HaMikdash. Yeah. They also had Mishmurah. They also had watches. Yeah, like everything goes upstairs, comes down here. It's like a mirror.
Switch also.
Okay, so that's the first opinion. We have the start time is Seta Kochavim. Just get the what's the Mishnah start time Seta Kochavim. End time is the end of the first Mishnah. So you got 4 hour slot to say Kriyat Shema of night. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Those are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Hachamim Omrim. Hachamim say Ad Hasor. No, we're going to extend the end time. You have all the way until midnight to say Kriyat Shema of night. It's not till the 4th hour. It's till the 6th hour, which is Hatzor, midnight. Rabban Gamliel Omer Ad She'ale Amud HaShahar. Rabban Gamliel said, no, you have all the way until dawn. Dawn, a little bit before sunrise. You have you're allowed to say Kriyat Shema. So either to the 4th hour, the 6th hour, midnight, or till morning. Good. That's the three-way mahloka. Now we have a story. Ma says the story about Banav Mibet Mashteh. The students of Rabban Gamliel came from a party, from a wedding. Amru, they told Rabban Gamliel, look, you know, Shema, we did not say Kriyat Shema. Amar lahem told them, Im lo ala Amud HaShahar, if Amud HaShahar didn't hit yet, Hayavin aten likrot. You are obligated to say Kriyat Shema. Hence, they showed up to say it's 3 in the morning. We didn't say Kriyat Shema. He told them if Amud HaShachar didn't hit yet, you're still obligated to say Kriyat Shema. Now, you have to bear in mind, this is after Hatzot, after the first 4 hours, after Hatzot as well. He told them all the way till Amud HaShachar, you're still obligated to say Kriyat Shema. That was his response to them. So just to speak out, the Rashba speaks out right away on the Mishnah. We know we're posek like the Hachamim. Hachamim say you have until Hatzot. So students come to the Bangamliel, they say, Dad, we didn't say Kriyat Shema, it's 3 in the morning, what should we do? He tells them, okay, if it's not Amud HaShachar, if it's not dawn yet, you can still say Kriyat Shema. What does he mean to say? Like the Mishnah is going to explain. When the Hachamim said till Hatzot, that was only Lechatchila. Ideally, you should say it by Hatzot. However, if you miss that time, you have all the way until Amud HaShachar. So therefore, he told them when they showed up, he told them you're allowed to say Kriyat Shema even though it's 3 in the morning and you missed the Hatzot time, you're still allowed to say Kriyat Shema. Velo zu belvad, Amru, and not only
even like Techila, you could wait until Alot HaShachar. Even like Techila, you can wait until Alot HaShachar. Why is that not halacha?
According to the Ban Gamliel, you have till Amud HaShachar, the Hachamim said.
You're gonna find out
Al
that
Hatzot.
even like Techila, even the Chachamim would agree.
Okay, we'll see. But,
Let's get there.
okay. Velozu belvad amru. Not only over here did the rabbis, take the time. Not only over here when the rabbi said Hatzot, did they mean only lechat tehila? Ideally, you should say it by Hatzot, but in Ikar Adin, according to the letter of the law, you have till dawn. Ela kol ma she'amru chachamim ad Hatzot. Whenever you see the Chachamim say you have to do something by Hatzot, mitzvatan ad she'alu Amud HaShachar. In truth, you have until Amud HaShachar, till dawn to do the mitzvah. And a couple of examples are hekter halabim ve'ebarim, the burning of the fats of the limbs, and the mizbeach. You have to burn it by the night. Mitzvatan ad she'alu Amud HaShachar. You really are able to do it all the way to Amud HaShachar. Any korban that has to be eaten that day, you have to bring a korban, you have to eat it that day and that night that you brought it. Mitzvatan ad she'alu Amud HaShachar. You really have all the way to Amud HaShachar to do the mitzvah. That's the cutoff. Dawn. So why the rabbis say you should do these things by Hatzot, make sure you get it done by Hatzot. To distance a person from sin.
We don't want to say. I thought they were going to go the opposite. That they're going to tell the guy, be to and the spot. Like you said, of course, it's all the way that it's dark time all the way till you get Amud HaShachar. But if you tell the guy you have till the morning, the guy's going to delay the mitzvah and saying Shema. So you have to do up until Chatzot so he gets it done. But it's funny how it went to the opposite. So you distance yourself away from Avodah. It should be the opposite. It should be on the positive. It shouldn't be on the negative. That was the question I had last time, but never answered it. So
I told him the question
is, you don't want to commit a sin, right? Not doing the mitzvah.
What's the question?
What's better, doing the
You
mitzvah?
say, why don't we do a positive spin of say? They said by Hatzot is Zerizim Makdimin.
What?
Zerizim to try to do as soon as you can. It's not just saying, we don't want you to mess up and miss it.
I think it's worse to commit a sin than not
but
doing
there's
the
no really
mitzvah.
sin. So if I don't say Shema, I didn't fulfill a positive commandment. Did I commit a sin?
You're all there on a.
I think so.
Okay, so you're okay. So you're there on a.
Yeah, we had this argument with Rabbi Haddad, and he said it was a sin.
Mevatel mitzvah taseh.
Yeah.
Someone asked me for his library. I love
Okay.
it.
Good. Good. So is the Mishnah clear? So we had the question: when's the start time for Kriyat Shema? We said Seta Kochavim. Then the stars come out. Is the start time for Kriyat Shema? The end time is a 3-way mahloket. Either the end of the first watch, which is a third into the night, or Hatzot, or till Alot HaShachar. Right? Third into the night, Hatzot or HaShachar. And second, Rabban Gamliel, he explained the Hachamim, and the Hachamim said you have to do till Hatzot or just the Chatehila, but the Avad, even if you missed Hatzot, you're able to say Kriyat Shema the entire night.
Usually when there's a fence, right, it's to prevent us from doing a sin.
Right.
In this case, there's a fence, but it could really prevent us from doing mitzvah, because if it's 3 a.m. and I didn't know that that's a fence, I would say I can't say Shema now, I can't eat the korban, I can't do anything.
Right. That's a good point. Well, according to how we're learning it, they're not preventing you from doing it, because even if you missed Hatzot, you're still able to say Kriyat Shema.
Right.
But I don't even know if that's an issue, because the Hachamim said don't blow the shofar on Shabbat. By Sheva al Ta'aseh, the Hachamim said to not do a mitzvah. So it is possible.
But you're gonna understand. You're gonna
around like around the don't do.
Right, we're afraid that you're gonna miss a do. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I realize there also is a.
Oh, you're right, that's a different point. We're afraid you're gonna miss a do. Right. Therefore, we wanted to bring it back. The Gemara is gonna explain what exactly the issue will be. There's a specific reason, because the guy's gonna have so much time, and take a little nap. I'll wake up 4 a.m. before I go to shul, I'll say Kriyat Shema. Done.
Also saying,
No.
he's saying,
We're gonna see. No.
You're looking at this question on the surface, it's not so simple. It's a very hard question, and you're gonna find out later on that his question's gonna get answered, his question's gonna get, and all your questions are gonna get answered. Once you see it in the Gemara and you understand exactly the crux of the question, what's going on here, you're gonna see it.
Okay, so just the Gemara is going to come to, like I keep saying, the Gemara is going to come to explain the mahloket, but just the basic idea of the mahloket between the rabbis is the pasuk says you have to say Kriyat Shema b'shoch becha u'kumecha. You have to say Kriyat Shema when you go to sleep or when you wake up. So we have to say Kriyat Shema b'shoch becha when you go to sleep. So what does that mean? Does that mean when people are going to sleep or when people are sleeping? The Rabbi Haddad understands the pasuk when people are going to sleep, which is generally the first third of the night. People are generally going to bed.
people used
Time
to sleep
before.
different also,
They
right?
used to sleep much earlier.
They
Night
used to wake
before.
up- they used to wake up 12.
Right. They work with the sun. So the first 4 hours of the night, people are going to sleep. They have to sleep. Rabban Gamliel holds the whole night. People are sleeping. That's called the Shoch Bechad. The Hachamim came like Rabban. They agreed to Rabban Gamliel. They just said, "We want you to get it done by Chatzot." Good.
Some people woke up at midnight, you know what I'm saying? Some people went to sleep at 7,
Maybe the Melech.
right? They woke up at midnight.
Any
Whole
argument?
different schedule.
Yes, there's going to be a 6-way mahloket on the start time. Mahloket. But the Mishnah says the start time is set up. Okay, let's get started. Let's see the Gemara. And then we're gonna see a little Gemara today, and then we're gonna go back to Rashi. We're gonna go into a little topic. Okay, Gemara. Gemara opens off on the Mishnah and says, I don't understand how this Mishnah is beginning the way it does. Gemara asks, Tana hecha kai diktani me'emata. What is the Tana coming off of that it's asking when? Gemara Mishnah begins and says, when does the obligation of Shema begin? Whoa, wait a second. I have to say Kriyat Shema? There's a law about saying Kriyat Shema. You didn't notify me about that. I have to say Kriyat Shema. Just tell me the when's before the what's, right? You always got to get the what's. Shai didn't tell us the what's. Right away, he asks us, when does the Zman Kriyat Shema? You should say, first say, Hayav kol adam lomar Kriyat Shema. Answer, then next question. When do we start the obligation of Kriyat Shema? That's question number 1. Question number 2, and furthermore, my shna detani ba'arbit beresha, litni d'shahari beresha. Why are we starting with arbit? Start with shaharit.
No, but
Or start with the morning.
the day really starts in the night.
Okay,
The darkness
fine.
comes before the light.
Good. Gemara's gonna get to that. Good. Gemara's gonna get that. We're gonna have to understand what the Hava Amina was right now, but start with the day. And Tosafot, we see Tosafot brings in. We see the Gemara talks. The Torah talks about korbanot. It talks about the day first. So we see sometimes over the day. You wake up in the day. It's the first mitzvah in the morning. So why are we starting with the night? That's a question. 2 questions. First of all, what are you coming off of? Second question is start with the morning. Litni b'shaharit b'resha. We should say the obligation of shaharit first. So Gemara answers. Answer number 1. Tana akrakay. Our Tana is coming off of the pasuk. Tachtiv says in the pasuk b'shoch becha u'kumecha. It says you have to say Kriyat Shema when you go to sleep and when you wake up. So there is the obligation. I know I have an obligation to say Kriyat Shema. Read the Torah, that's what it says. We don't have to tell you about the obligation. And this is what the Mishnah means to say. Zman Kriyat Shema d'shechiva emat. When is the obligation to say Kriyat Shema of night? When is that? Our Mishnah picks up and says, when the Kohanim begin eating terumah at night. So the answer to both of the questions is, we're coming off of the pasuk. How is that answering both of the questions? It's answering the first question of, you didn't tell me the what's. Yeah, I did tell you the what's. Look in the Torah. You have an obligation to say Kriyat Shema. Now, why did I start with night and then go to day? Following the lead of the pasuk. The pasuk says, when you go to sleep and you wake up. So we started also. When do you say Kriyat Shema at night? Very simple answer. That's answer number 1. Answer number 2, I'll give you a second answer. Second answer to why we started with night. Seemingly that's the second answer to why we started with night is we learn from the creation of the world. Because the pasuk says Hashem starts with night, so we followed night. Now this second answer, did this answer both of our questions? And the first question was, you didn't tell me, you have to tell me the what's before you tell me the why's. We don't really answer that question. We just told you to start with night by Erev by Boker. This second answer is only a second answer to the second question of why you're starting with night and then moving on to day.
What's the what question?
What is that you're starting with when's before you tell me that there's even an obligation to say Kriyat Shema?
Right, but there's only an obligation because of the when. I think.
Meaning the Gemara says,
In other words,
you tell me,
I don't think there's an obligation to say Shema until a certain point in.
right, but
history.
first you have to tell me, well, first you have to.
There is an obligation. then
First
when?
you have to tell me there's an obligation.
Say when.
We're not answering that question by just saying, oh, by Erev by Boker. It's not an answer to that question, just answer why you're starting with night and moving on to day. Right? There's two questions. That's what I think if you look at Rashi, the Ibai Tema towards the bottom, fifth line from the bottom. And the Ibai Tema, I think he's coming to address this point. It says, Ibai Tema had the Tanya Avi Beresh, that which we started with the nighttime, Yalit Mebiriyato Hashem. That we could learn from the creation of the world. But the first question of you didn't tell me the what's, you didn't address. That's the question. That we know. We didn't address that. What?
That's why you need the pasuk.
Right. So then,
Right, but then but usually it says like when you bring up a law, it says, okay, this is the law, and it says dichtiv, or it's written in the Torah, blah blah blah. It doesn't say, it didn't do that. It just started. You have to say
started with the when's, right?
And then answer that question.
We answered that earlier, no? You said it.
Yeah, but
Right,
that's not. It's not the usual
But the
structure
second
of the
answer is
law.
not answering the first question.
We answered it already. So I have to
We
answer
answered
it.
up. That's another point I keep bringing up. What was wrong with the first answer? Shoch b'chav kumecha, told me the obligation, told me started. Now we bring a vague concept in the creation of the world. Hashem said about
That's just answering another question. Why are we teaching night and day? That's the answer.
Right, but we already answer that question from Shoch b'chav kumecha?
Yes.
No, you're answering why we're starting with the day, why we're starting with the night and the day through that answer because it's time when people go to sleep. Then they bring another answer, another proof that
But you don't need the second.
Why bring the second proof? You have it.
First one's good.
First one was great.
Right, yeah. The Pnei Yehoshua is bothered by that. First one was talking about Shema. It says B'shoch b'chav kumecha. Can't get better than that.
Right.
And they told me from the creation of the world, give me a second. What do we need that second answer?
Maybe that's where the Shema
Right.
got it from.
Right, right.
That's why
Yeah.
Shema is the Shofar HaKumecha.
Hashem got it from Hashem.
In other words, to follow the creation.
Why must we say it that way? Why must we say it that way?
Because of Erev Boker. So it's not really a second answer. It's okay. So I'll
What's
go.
the rule with the Ibayat Imat? Isn't there a rule that the second answer is usually a better answer or it's usually something?
There's something. Yeah, I don't know if it's better, but there has to be something where the second answer didn't like about the first answer. Right. It's the reason why I bring the second answer. Yeah.
Yeah, but when they bring that, it's because
There's an element that they want to bring out.
For some reason.
Okay, let's just do a couple more lines and we'll do a recap. So the Gemara says, okay, very nice answer. He has two questions. Why are we starting with night? And you didn't tell me the what before you tell me the whys. We answer the question by saying, gives you the what's, and I know that I start with night and then move on to day. Great. And also we have by Erev Boker. So the Gemara says, so if that's how you work, that you go with night and then day, then Sefa, the later Mishnah, 10 daf later, Diktani, it says, the Shahar in the morning, mevarech shtayim lefanea v'aha lechareh. We have two berachot before we say Kriyat Shema, and one beracha of Ga'al Yisrael after we say Kriyat Shema.
In the morning.
In the morning. Ba'erev in the afternoon, mevarech shtayim lefanea v'shtayim lechareh. We have two berachot before and two berachot after. So, when I ask, litni the Arbit Beresha, we should start with the halachot of Arbit. If you look at that Mishnah says when it comes to the berachot of Kriyat Shema, two before, one after by Shaharit, and then two before, two after by Arbit. Why are we starting with Shaharit? I thought you told me the rule is you start with Arbit by Erev Boker, B'shoch b'chav kumecha. Start with Arbit. Why are you starting with Shaharit?
God, so
It's a question.
So it's a Stida and another Mishnah.
Next
That's
Mishnah.
the order. Good.
Right, the order. Gemara answers, Tana patach be'arbit, the Tana opens up with Arbit, the Hadar Tani b'Shaharit. And then we taught Shaharit. So the first Mishnah talks about Arbit. The next Mishnah tells us about the time to say Kriyat Shema of Shaharit. And once we're in the category of Shaharit, Ad Dekai Shaharit, once we got involved in the time of Shaharit, we started going into the Berachot of Shaharit, Parish Mili de Shaharit. We finished up and explained the concept of Shaharit, the Berachot of Shaharit, V'hadar Parish Mili de Arbit. And then we went back to Arbit, meaning the Mishnah wanted to talk about the obligation to say Kriyat Shema. So we went with night and then we went with day. Good. We spoke about the obligation. Now we have to start talking about the berachot. Once we're already in Shaharit, let's say on the topic, let's talk about the berachot of Shaharit and then move back on Shaharit. 1, 2, 2, 1. Very common concept that comes up. So Shema started with Arbit because either B'shoch Becha Kumecha or Vahi Eder Vahi Bukis. We started with Arbit, we moved on to Shaharit. Then once we were in Shaharit, we started discussing the Berachot of Kiryat Shema, we continued with Shaharit, and we went back to Arbit.
Can you say also that the Shema is a Deoraita and the Berachot are the Rabbanan? When we're teaching the Deoraita, we go with the evening first, and we're teaching the Rabbanan, we can go either way.
Why? Why would the Rabbanan make a difference?
Because it's more of a, you have to teach it the right way according to the Torah. You don't want to confuse it. But as far as the Berachot, even in the Berachot, if you make a mistake, you can fix it in the end and just.
So maybe we don't have to follow the Torah, the Rabbanan have to follow the Torah, you
I
think?
don't know.
Okay.
The Deoraita always comes first. Pesach, Matzah, Maror. The Deoraita, the Rabbanan, and then
Okay. Okay, good. Let's just see this Bnei Yoshua over here to get a little bit better understanding of the this back and forth in the Gemara. Yeah, we got one. It's on Chav Dalet.
What do you write about in the first 23 pages?
It's great. Okay, it's all on the Mishnah. There's a lot of introduction, all on the Mishnah. It's the first piece on the Gemara. Okay. So good. So we have our question, we have our two answers. The Bnei Yoshua is going to go into technicality, how to understand the two answers of the Gemara. Our question was, two questions were, why are you starting with the whens before you tell me the whats? And question number two was that you didn't tell me, question number two was, why are you starting the whens before you tell me the whats? And why are you starting with night and then moving on to day? Okay, so he's going to ask two questions right off the bat. It says, Yesh l'tmoa tuba. I have a big question. Question number one is the karila my karila. What was the havamina? What were we thinking before we started the Gemara? Atu lo yadak ra de b'shoch b'chav kumecha. Chav dalet bottom left.
Bottom
Right. Question number one is Yesh l'tmoa tuba. Big question. The karila my karila. What were we thinking in the havamina? Atu lo yadak ra de b'shoch b'chav kumecha. Did we not know the pasuk b'shoch b'chav kumecha? And the Gemara says, where are you coming off of? That you're saying when to say Kiryat Shema? Original answer the Gemara gives. B'shoch b'chav kumecha. Wait a second. He's saying the Gemara didn't know. There's no like chidush in the answer. There's no there's Mishnah somewhere else. There's some concept of diuk in the pasuk. No, there's an open pasuk. You have to say Kiryat Shema b'shoch b'chav kumecha. What were we thinking in the question? That's question number one. Question number two is the Gemara Tana Akraka. Even more, we could ask Belashona Tarzan in the terminology of the person, the Gemara that answered the question. Tana Akraka. That which the answer, the person that the Gemara wanted to answer said the Tana is coming off of the pasuk. Sagila. That would have been enough to answer the question. You could have just said, question. Where's the obligation of Kiryat Shema? Answer, pasuk. Why do we have to be so lengthy? Explain the whole thing. And this is how we have to understand the Mishnah. When is the time of obligation of Kiryat Shema? And the Gemara went back at the Mishnah and reread the Mishnah with like a new understanding. And now that you told me, let's reread the Mishnah. When is the start time to say Kiryat Shema? We have an obligation to say Kiryat Shema. And when does it start to say Kiryat Shema? When the Kohanim begin eating the terumah. Just read it just look in the Gemara, you'll see it really. You'll see this point that he's bringing out. Read the Gemara again. The Gemara says, Tana hechakai Tani me'emat. Question number one is, where are you coming off? I think tell me about the obligation. The two, and furthermore, Ma'ishna detani be'adbit beresha. Why are you starting with the night time? We should start with the morning. Gemara answers, Tana akrakai. Tana is coming off of the pasuk. Tachti b'shoch b'chav kumecha. Pasuk says b'shoch b'chav kumecha. We could have said period. Done. Great answer. Right? Tana's coming off the pasuk. It says b'shoch b'chav kumecha. It teaches me you have an obligation. It teaches me night comes first. No. Gemara continues. V'hachiktani. And this I have to read the Mishnah. Zman kiryat shema d'shechi ba'emat. When is the time to say kiryat shema of night time? The Kohanim have to begin saying terumah. So begin eating the teruma. So why do we have to give you another recap and reread on the Mishnah based on our answer? Here's the question. I give you an answer. Where are we coming off of? Now let me read it for you. Read back into the Mishnah.
When is Upshop Shopka? When is that time? That's the question.
So when you lie down,
That-
or is there a
that-
set,
well,
is there a
well,
different time?
Right, how's that, right?
How do you quantify? How do you say that time? So he's giving you the time when the Kohanim eat the teruma.
Right, but the Mishnah did. Why does the Gemara have to come and reread the Mishnah based on the answer? The Gemara has the question. What are you
Just
coming off
read
of?
We just said it.
Question. What are you coming off? Answer. Okay, now let me reread the Mishnah let me reread the Mishnah for you. When is the time of the Kiryat Shema? Like, why are we rereading it into the Mishnah? He also asked later on, what you guys were asking was, what's wrong with the first answer? Why we have to go on to the second answer? First answer, like a nail on the head. Night and the day.
And why say by the
Yeah, what is that? No. Okay, so he's gonna explain what the Gemara really means. So he says, we could seems to answer this question. Mishum de lekaman beperek mishemetu. Later on, next perek. Ika lemanda amad de Kiryat Shema derabanan. There's an opinion that Kiryat Shema is derabanan. Kiryat Shema derabanan. V'krad b'shoch b'chav kumecha b'divrei Torah keti. And the pasuk of b'shoch b'chav kumecha is teaching us it's an obligation to learn Torah morning and night. Not telling us it's an obligation to say Kiryat Shema morning and night.
That's what I was saying. That there was a certain point in time they started saying Shema in history. They always say Shema, just like other barachot. We also didn't have other barachot. So we didn't have barachot.
Yeah, but the Yeshua is.
Well, let's see.
Wait, on that Gemara, it doesn't go. It's not so clear that it's the Rabbanan. Because what is he saying? He's saying because the berachot after are deoraita. How do the berachot after the Yatziv and Achon deoraita? Because you mentioned Yitziat Mitzrayim. You have an obligation to mention Yitziat Mitzrayim at night. So if you say that the Yatziv and Achon without saying anything, then you're okay. Then you cover yourself in Yitziat Mitzrayim at night. So, but if you have both options in front of you, you would say Shema. Why? Because Shema also has two components.
Sounds like we're gonna have to get there.
So I'm just telling you that this is not so.
That's so cut and dry.
I go in the world, you get that learning Torah.
It wasn't always.
That's his
V'di
opinion.
baratab,
Okay, so
What are we saying? We're saying speak in the words. Talking about Kiryat Shema?
And you shall teach them thoroughly to your children. You shall speak to
talking
them
about
while
the
you sit in your home and while you go on your way, when you lie down and when you arise.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
Okay, so he says there's a mahloket in the Gemara over there. ובתוספות יש פרק אלו נאמרים, תוספות in Sota says, mashma, it sounds like sheken ikad ayin sham. It sounds like Tosafot goes that way, that the pasuk is really talking about Torah, not Kiryat Shema, ayin sham. Ayin bekuntrus ahad. Ve'ika lememar. So now, he wants to say like this. Tahachi nami habi svira leila hamaksher. The questioner in the Gemara originally held like this opinion. Meikara originally. And he also understood it from the Mishnah itself. And the Mishnah is asking, when does this obligation begin? It says because he says, if you're learning that the pasuk of Beshoch Becha Ukumecha is referring to Kiryat Shema, imken Mike Amar Ematai Habedakti Beshoch Becha the Pashta Dekra Mashmash Kol Adam Serich Lekrov B'Shat Shechiva Mamash. If you learn talking about Kiryat Shema, it means when you're going to sleep. So the Mishnah said, when the Mishnah asked Me'ematai, when does the obligation begin? If the Mishnah was talking about Kiryat Shema, it will be more simply understood when you wake up and when you go to sleep. So the Mishnah, the Gemara understood that the Mishnah was asking about the whens, understood that the obligation of Beshoch Bechav Kumecha is referring to Torah and not Kiryat Shema.
By the second answer, you're saying?
The questioner understood, was understanding that we're talking about Torah.
What are the answer that you said?
Right, okay, so let's see, before the answers even. So he said, Ela al korchach b'sover dehai kra lo ayri b'kiryat Shema. The questioner of the Gemara understood the Mishnah is not talking about Kiryat Shema, it was referring to Torah. Im ken maksher shapir. So the questioner of the Gemara asked a very good question. Tana hecha kai. Where exactly is the Tanakh coming off of that there's an obligation to say Kiryat Shema in the morning and night? What I want to know, where is the obligation to say, where's the obligation that you have to say Torah morning and night. It's not an open pasuk because we're not learning B'shoch Lecha Kumecha is referring to Kiryat Shema. So where is the source that you have to say Torah in the morning and night? V'divarta bam.
That the Shop Echad Kumecha, isn't that what it's referred to? And that's what we got at so far.
Wait 1 second. No.
With the source.
Where's the source of Kiryat Shema? Excuse me. Where's the source of Kiryat Shema? Right. We're learning B'shoch Lecha Kumecha is not talking about Kiryat Shema. It's talking about Torah. So the Mishnah says, when is the time for Kiryat Shema? So the Mishnah says, wait a second. Kiryat Shema. Where's the source? They have an obligation to say Kiryat Shema. I'm not saying it so clearly.
Yeah, we don't have a source right now.
If you say a bit Shulchan Aruch is
Torah.
so right, where's the source of Kiryat Shema?
Right. That's good. So if the source is, if the B'shoch Lecha Kumecha is talking about Divrei Torah, question, where's the source for Kiryat Shema? Kiryat Shema. And therefore the Gemara is asking, where's the source for Kiryat Shema? You have no source. That's question number one. Start with Shaharit. I don't know anything about B'shoch Lecha Kumecha. B'shoch Lecha Kumecha is talking about Torah.
It makes sense. And Shema would be on the data, because it's all part of that four. What does it say?
Makes sense. It's Torah. You said, yeah.
Then it's saying you have to
Right.
do Shema in all four spots.
That's actually a very good point. It's saying if it's talking about Kiryat Shema, then what does that mean? That's Kiryat Shema. That's for sure talking about Torah.
No, but the Chabad Derech teaches you that you don't have to. when you travel. You could say Shema while you're traveling. You could say it
Right.
to negate Bet Shammai, who says you have to say it lying down instead of standing up.
Right. That's what we learn, right? Second mitzvah, Patu mitzvah also. Only if you're going Yom. What? Why is saying Shema not Torah? He's saying if the obligation of B'shivtecha B'techa is on Torah, then Shema will cover Torah. Okay, fine, but there's no obligation specifically to say these words of Kiryat Shema. I'll learn, Bereshit bara Elokim. And here the Mishnah is saying, when's the time for Kiryat Shema?
No, I think what he's saying is from where to where do we get the connection from Shema to the B'shoch Lecha? There's nothing to do with it.
Well, it is the words of Kiryat Shema set in the paragraph of Kiryat Shema.
Shema in the
Right,
Torah
but
isn't the
it's
same
still
item.
not-
When you
you're
say
saying it's
Shema,
still
it's
not
like
the
it's like
source.
Torah, of course.
If you're saying it could be for
What are we talking about here?
learning, then there's nothing to do with Kriyat Shema. How are you connecting it really?
Right. Okay. So wait, we have to see what the answer of the Gemara is. Right. Good. So the question, the Makshan of the Gemara understood. Question: B'shoch Lecha Kumecha has nothing to do with us. B'shoch Lecha Kumecha is talking about Torah. And I know it's talking about Torah because if it was talking about Kiryat Shema, then you wouldn't even need a Mishnah to tell us when the times are. Look at the Torah. Torah tells us when the times are. I said B'shoch Lecha Kumecha. So it must be, we don't know. We're not working with B'shoch Lecha Kumecha. Rather, it must be that where this Mishnah's understanding B'shoch Lecha Kumecha is Torah. When the Mishnah asked, when is the obligation for Kiryat Shema? Whoa, we jump on it. Wait, well, who said there's an obligation for Kiryat Shema? And why are you starting with the night? That was what the questioner was thinking when he asked the question. Ve'aha meshani shapir. And on that, the Gemara answered, De le'olam tana akraka. That really, our Tana is coming off of the Pasuk, Dechti b'shoch becha b'kumecha ve'ayri b'kiryat Shema. And our Mishnah holds that b'shoch becha b'kumecha is referring to Kiryat Shema. Ve'hadika amar me'ematai. And that which the Mishnah asked when? This is what the Mishnah meant to ask. Kiryat Shema de emat. When is the time of Kiryat Shema? Now I have to reread the Mishnah. In the question, we thought that B'shoch Becha Kumecha was talking about Torah. And our Mishnah was talking about Kiryat Shema. Now we answer, no, really B'shoch Becha Kumecha is referring to, we're going that B'shoch is talking about Shema. And now we have to go into it. We say, V'hadika Amma, please. V'hamsha Shavi le'olam tana krakay jechti b'shoch v'agmera v'ayri b'kriyat Shema v'hadika amar me'ematai ha'chitan. Zman kriyat Shema de'shechiva emat. Yishum de'pshita le'letana de'matnit and zman kriyat Shema de'b'shoch b'chadika amar kra hainu zman kavua lechol Yisrael b'zman echad v'lo shi'asu agudot. And to that, the Gemara said, we have to re-understand our Mishnah and say, when is the time of Kriyat Shema? And this time of Kriyat Shema has to be a universal time. It can't be that when you go to sleep, when I go to sleep, everyone's going to go to sleep 2 a.m. We have to have a general time. There's an obligation to say Kriyat Shema. When is that general time that there's an obligation to say Kriyat Shema? That's the question in the Mishnah. Now that you're telling me B'shoch B'chav Kumecha is going on Kriyat Shema, we have to redefine this exact time of the obligation to say Kriyat Shema of night. So the way, again, so he's reading the technical, but the way he's reading the Gemara is, Gemara understood opening, that B'shoch B'chav Kumecha is talking about Torah. Question of the Gemara is, okay, so then you didn't tell me the what's of Kriyat Shema and why are you starting with night? Answers the Gemara, no, we're talking about the Mishnah understands B'shoch B'chav Kumecha is the source for Kriyat Shema. That's what we're coming off of. That's why we didn't tell you the what's. That's also why we started with B'shoch B'chav. That's answer number 1. Answer number 2, the Ibait Ema, goes back to the original understanding of the Makshan, the question, that we are referring to Torah and B'shoch B'chav Kumecha. So then the question is, when you come to Kriyat Shema, which is the Rabbanan, why are you starting with night? I can't bring you the pasuk of B'shoch B'chav Kumecha because that's specifically referring to Torah. So I need a new source to why we're starting with the nighttime and then moving on to the daytime when it comes to the halachot of Kriyat Shema, which is Vahi Erev, Vahi Bokeh.
That is the Rabbanan.
Right, it's the Rabbanan.
That doesn't answer the Parnasa. Where Shema.
Right, so then he dodges that and he says, and you have to say that the obligation, the Gemara didn't bother to answer that question because even though it's the Rabbanan, the obligation to say Kriyat Shema is all over Shas, and it's we use the Pesukim as an asmachta all over to remind us there's an obligation of Kriyat Shema. So we didn't even address that question because Kriyat Shema is such an important mitzvah. I don't know if we were clear, but just read it. We'll read the Gemara now according to the Pnei Yehoshua, his understanding. Right, so the Gemara jumps right away and says, Tana hecha kai diktani me'ematai. What is the Mishnah coming off of that it's asking, when is their obligation? We don't even know that there's an obligation to say Kriyat Shema. Wait a second. Now we have to say, we don't know the obligation. It says B'shoch B'chav Kumecha. No, we don't know there's an obligation. B'shoch B'chav Kumecha is talking about Torah. It's not talking about Kriyat Shema. The 2, and furthermore, Ma'ishna Detani Avi V'Reishna. And also, why are you starting with Avit? You just made up a din d'Rabbanan of Kriyat Shema. Why are you starting with the halacha of Avit? We should say Shaharit first. Answer, Tana Akra Kai. Tana is coming off of the pasuk. No, we hold Kriyat Shema is the Oraita, and we are coming off of the pasuk. Coming off of B'shoch B'chav Kumecha. Kriyat Shema is the Oraita, and it's coming off of the pasuk. Techti B'shoch B'chav Kumecha. It says B'shoch B'chav Kumecha. V'hachitani, and this is what the Mishnah means to ask. Zman Kriyat Shema de Shechiva Emat. Once you're telling me that the source is B'shoch B'chav, we have to have the source Kriyat Shema is B'shoch B'chav. We have to have a set time. It can't just be random whenever anyone goes to sleep. The Mishnah means to ask, when is the set time to say Kriyat Shema? What's about a lie to? Start time and an end time. Answer when the Kohanim begin eating teruma, which is set to Kohavi. Now, great answer. Kriyat Shema is really from B'shoch B'chav Kumecha. That's what we started with night, day, and we have the what.
You want to say it's the Rabbanan, you say by
exactly. If you want to say Kriyat Shema is the Rabbanan, like you thought in the question, and really B'shoch B'chav Kumecha was talking about Torah, then we can learn from the creation of the world. We can learn from the creation of the world that we start with night, even though this has nothing to do directly with that, but that's just you guys are saying, oh yeah, Vahi Erev Vahi Bokeh, general. Why do we go general?
Dig into that, but.
Right, we still have to know why we started.
No, you're saying by Yiboke, but we didn't break it down like we said, like the Kohanim. There's no specific time. When is that? When is Erev?
Right.
You're just giving us a general time again. When could that be?
No, the Vahi Erev Vahi Bokeh.
7 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
We know Teruma, time Teruma, Kohanim.
No, that we know already. But now we're talking about Yed. If you knock out B'shoch B'chav Kumecha, then you're going to go by Yed Vahi Bokeh. When is Vahi Yed Vahi Bokeh?
Well, Vahi Erev Vahi Bokeh is only telling us why we start with Arvit and then move on to Shahari.
Oh, God.
And Vahi Erev Vahi Bokeh just answering the question, why did you start with that and go to Shahari? Still didn't have to address when the obligation
using
begins.
that for the source of Shema, then you have to don't you have to break it down any further?
Okay, so Dave's saying, what are we using Vahi Erev Vahi Bokeh for? According to this Pnei
Why we're
Yeshua,
starting with our beat, the
Yeah.
only thing we're using.
Right.
Only that.
Because according to that opinion, there is no actual obligation to say Shema, according to
So,
that.
so you're saying that you don't need a specific time for that?
It's just.
You're saying Erev, it's a very general term. It's like saying Boker. When is the
No,
morning?
that doesn't change, that doesn't change the idea of the Kohanim.
No, the Kohanim has nothing to do with that.
Everybody agrees that Erev is.
but when we start teaching the halachot, if you'll find the Mishnah that starts with that halakha applies at night and day, and the halakha started in the Mishnah started with that, you should ask. What do you mean?
What is that? Set the Kohabim. Great.
But I think it doesn't change the definition of Erev, you know?
That's what I'm saying, is if you're gonna break it down.
Well, what are we using by Erev? That's my point. What are we using?
Okay, when is that?
It would still be the time of the
Break it
Kohanim.
down.
How to speak?
What is Erev? Is that when the
How to
Kohanim
speak?
goes
Why
to
the
dip?
Mishnah began with the halachot of night?
When
It's a
they're
very
allowed to eat Tirumah after they did.
That's set the Kohabim.
Right.
But that's not, that's not a source.
right. Pnei Yeshua is bothered by that.
So
So we have to say that
telling you why we're starting
it's
at
a universal mitzvah, and why we know mitzvah,
Okay.
that we didn't
That's my
address
question.
that
So
question.
you're breaking that, you're not breaking
We
it down.
didn't answer that question. Yeah. All of
Unless
the
it's,
shots, yeah, that's a point.
Specific time, everybody knows that it's, that's.
Right.
But they didn't explain it.
They don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't well, what are we learning from everybody?
You say, okay, our source for Shema is that. Okay, what time is that? He's already told us the Mahani for the other one.
Obligation to say,
Which
Kriyat
is
Shema,
what time is it?
everybody both get that God.
4, 6.
No, so what are we using?
We're learning
That's
that.
night.
Right, that when we speak, the order we
Can't be,
speak
it's a
is
real
so that-
source.
So you know, like,
We're only asking the
what he has
question.
also, where's the source as to what the time slot is? It has
That's-
nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, just the order.
It's just the reason why the
How
question.
could the questioner, according to Pnei Yeshua, how could the questioner, when we're talking about Torah,
Right.
think the shofet,
That's Torah.
because doesn't that limit the time, like 20 minutes before Seder Kochavim? That's how we can't do Shema yet. So that's saying that you can't learn Torah yet.
Oh, no, you can't, it's an obligation.
Okay, but
Meaning,
you're not you're
to make
obligated
sure.
time to learn Torah.
Not during the day, maybe now.
How could that be?
I say, I'm always have to learn Torah.
I always
I say
say,
it's 24/7.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that in the video.
Which video?
That's why we don't say the Berachah every time we learn.
Constant.
What I'm saying?
The Rambam says, yeah, Ziven. Okay, so fine. So that's just the Gemara. Good night. I just want to see it. Rashi. If we go back to Rashi in the Mishnah, he has a major question, which Hashem, I'm going to go into Tosafot tomorrow and get into this concept over here. You ready? See the second Rashi over here at Sof Hashmona Rishona. Ready? So Rashi says,
This is Rashi. This is not the Riva.
yeah, back yeah, first page. So.
Rivan is his son-in-law, right?
Son-in-law. Ad Sof Hashmona Rishona. It says that you have until the end of the first watch. That's the opinion of Rabbi Haddad. Shlish halayla. That's a third of the night. The Mefaresh beGemara, like the Gemara will explain. Umisham be'elach avar zman. After that time, you already you lost it. The law mikri tu zman shechiva. It's no longer called the time when people go to sleep. The law karina be'beshoch. We don't call that beshoch b'cha when you're going to sleep. No one goes to sleep after that time, and no one goes to sleep before that time. That 4-hour slot. Umekameh hachi nami lav zman shechiva. And before that time, people don't go to sleep. Lefichach. A person reads Kriyat Shema before Seder Kochavim, you do not fulfill the obligation. Time for Kriyat Shema Seder Kochavim. Imken, she's bothered. Question. Lama Karino Tov Bet HaKnesset. Why do we say it in shul? What time is large word Arbit over here? 6:30. Seder Kochavim, Shekia is 8 o'clock. Seder Kochavim is more like 8:40. What in the world are we doing? Why are we saying Kriyat Shema in shul? What does that have to do with Tefillah? Why are we saying Kriyat Shema? There's nothing to do with Kriyat Shema, with the obligation to start Seder Kochavim. So what's going on? Rashi's time apparently also they did like that. So he says, simple, no. We just do it to have Torah, Tefillah. We want to say Kriyat Shema. It's a nice thing to start learning before we say, like you guys are saying, Kriyat Shema is Torah.
Ashkenazim don't follow this, and how come they don't pray at Arbit? This is black and white for them.
Yeah. Good. V'achi Tanya bebraita.
Clear as day.
People have to go there. People flipping out. We said Arbit. We said let's do Arbit.
Right.
Flipping out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just, now they all
Show 'em it's Rashi's.
Slow down. Slow down. Great.
My father.
Oh, they'll have to walk out every 30 minutes.
My father was.
Yeah, it's not nighttime yet.
You're
Look,
flipping out
they
when
look at you crazy, and then the sun is already down. Oh, but Mincha, what do you mean? It's dark out in Chicago, in the restaurant. It's dark out. No, what he's talking about the sun. He's not giving you the whole thing. It's amazing. I could, your point,
Okay, so Rashid Paul, so what are we doing here? למה קוראים אותו בית הכנסת? כדי לעמוד בתפילה מתוך דברי תורה. Just have learned. והכי תענה בברייתא ברכות, בברייתא ברכות ירושלמי. Therefore, Rashi says, לפיכך חובה עלינו לקרותה משתכשך. We have an obligation to repeat Kriyat Shema once it gets dark. You know, repeat Kriyat Shema after dark. You know, right? Every obligation to repeat Kriyat Shema after dark. ובקריאת פרשה הראשונה שאדם קורא מיתתו יצא. And with the parasha, the first paragraph alone that a person says before he goes to sleep, minimum obligation of Kriyat Shema al Mita, first paragraph, your yotze, your obligation of Kriyat Shema. So
2 in 1.
now she says 2 in 1. She says, how do we say Kriyat Shema? In shul, you're not going to say Kriyat Shema. Nothing to do with Kriyat Shema. So now when did I do my obligation? Nighttime, before I go to sleep. And that's I fulfill my obligation. So works out great.
What's the point of having it?
That's
I
what
don't
I
understand. Why can't you just have any Torah?
every night. That's the third.
Why does it have to be Kriyat Shema?
What does that
Why
mean?
are you trying to
Yeah,
confuse
that's what I was,
people?
I think
There's
it's.
an obligation to
first
say
paragraph.
Kriyat Shema. That's just the
Why
time.
they say Kriyat
So
Shema?
why, this Torah is huge.
Yeah.
Why you?
They just say
Kriyat
Shema.
No.
So how am I gonna say
Well, we're going to see. Tosafot's going to ask that you have to say the at least the first 2 paragraphs. So that's going to be one of the Tosafot's questions. Let's say you go up. Okay, right. Problem. Right. Well, we hold like the Hakamim. You have to yeah. Not ideal. So we're going to go to.
For your son?
Yeah, I don't know that copy. Yeah, reading system.
I'll say till past. That'd be.